Welcome to the new moon in Scorpio ritual, which we're bringing to you via recording as the new moon falls on a Sunday. And I have been working on regular path workings. I typically do one a week and I do them on Sunday evenings. And since there's no way I could do two path workings in one night, as the images and lessons would tend to get confused, I'm making a conscious decision to keep with my real life schedule and pre-record the ritual. So let's get started. Before we call the quarters, let us prepare our spirits by performing a balancing ritual as Kabbalists do before any great work. So let us close our eyes and imagine a brilliant white light glistening above your crown chakra. Raise your right hand and envision yourself taking a hold of a piece of that light into your hand. And as you lower your hand, guide the light to your forehead and say, Ata, for thou art. Now see the light following your hand to your heart. Touch your heart and say Malchut, which is kingdom. Point the finger to the ground, seeing the light going into the earth. Then raise your right hand and touch your right shoulder, and as you do so, say Vergavura, which is power. Then touch the left shoulder, seeing the light travel from the right to the left, and as you touch the left shoulder, say Vergadora, which is the glory. Outstretch both arms and say La'olam, which is unto eternity. Lower your hands and say Amen, which means it is so, or so mote it be. Now we can say our sacred space has been cleansed. All who have gathered have arrived and prepared themselves for the celebration. Let us anoint ourselves in love, clearing our hearts and minds for the good work ahead. Before we continue, as is tradition, let us invite the guardians of the watchtowers, gods and goddesses, to lend us their energies and to guard our sacred circle. And I'm going to walk the circle this evening. All hail to the watchtower of the east, the element of air, spirit and intuition, intellect and sense of reason, the soft breeze, the very breath of life. We ask you to join us in our ritual, lending us your powers of discernment and knowledge for the good work ahead. Guard our circle set outside of time and charge it by your power. We bid hail and welcome to east and air. All hail to the watchtower of the south, the element of fire. By the powers of passion and love, creative energy and will, the burning flames of desire, we ask you to join us in our ritual. Lend us your powers of assertiveness and drive for the good work ahead. We ask you to guard our sacred circle set outside of time and charge it by your power, helping us to move forward. We bid hail and welcome to south and fire. All hail to the watchtower of the west, the element of water, the power of dreams and emotion, that which washes us of negativity, that which teaches us love. We ask you to join us in our ritual, Lend the power for to dare for the good work ahead. Guard our sacred circle set outside of time and charge it by your power, giving us wisdom and love for all. We bid hail and welcome to West and Water. All hail to the watchtower of the north, the element of earth, the power of mother and earth, power of manifestation of that which we create with our thoughts. We ask you to join us in a ritual, lending us your powers of stability and grounding for the good work ahead. Guard our sacred circle set outside of time and charge it by your power. We bid hail and welcome to north and earth. To the ancients, to older versions of ourselves, divine mystery, bring together that which we did not finish from the last cycle and strengthen that which is true in our respective paths, helping us to heal the past that has carried negative karma. Spirits above and spirit below, guardian power within that connects us all, we call at you to be at our strongest with us and to lend us your guidance. We look below to seal the heights with Yud He Vav. We look below to seal the deep with Yud Vav He. We look forward to seal the east with He Yud Vav. We look backward to seal the west with Vav He Yud. We look to the right to seal the south with Vav Yud He. We look to the left to seal the north with He Vav and Yud. These are the ineffable existences, the spirit of living God. Air, water, fire, height, depth, east, west, north, and south. Let all who came not in response to our call, we acknowledge your presence, wishing you well, and ask that you depart now in peace. Let all who have entered our circle be here in perfect love and perfect trust. The circle is now cast. Welcome to the new moon in Scorpio, which waned at 11:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The moon representing our emotional nature, our sense of perception and sensory impressions from our environment, instincts and habit patterns and unconscious drives, which we find are often subject to things we don't even remember. Scorpio is feminine fixed water. It is the I desire of the zodiac and the sign of extremes, the home of Pluto. Although it's the sign of extremes, Scorpio is stable due to its very fixed nature. Ruled by the ancient god of the underworld, Scorpio influences regenerative forces, beginnings and endings. It is persistent, intense, and obstinate. In Scorpio, the moon brings passion, intense feelings, and strong attachments. But on the darker side, it can become possessive and secretive. With fourth house energies, this intense passion focuses on home, family, security, and history. Aspecting this new moon, we have only two, the conjunction with the Sun and opposition with Uranus. The conjunction occurs when planets are at the same degree and is considered a position of intensity and unity, so both our natures are working together. The Sun representing our basic character and conscious personality. Like the moon in Scorpio, rather than bringing out our stronger characteristics, takes on the moodiness that we typically get from the moon. This transit opens us up to internal strength and a sense of independence and self-motivation. Uranus is the planet that encourages independence and standing apart from the crowd. It's where we're able to develop our true sense of individuality, helping us break away from useless structures that no longer serve us. Uranus rules change, upsets, and unconventionality. The opposition is a 180-degree angle, and it's a position that creates challenges and opportunities for growth. The opposition with the moon strengthens Uranus's sense of autonomy and nonconformism and helps us enjoy confronting our inbred traditions. In Taurus, Uranus looks at our home and possessions and financial independence. and with 10th house energies, it could help us make better use of job and career versus domestic life and find a better balance between the two. Today in the Hebrew is the Rosh Chodesh, or new moon, for the month of Sheshvan. The month of Sheshvan is called bitter because there are no holidays in the month and because it's considered to have a special connection with rain, including the month of the Great Flood. The daily portions of Torah readings for this month include when Noah was instructed by God to build the ark and to gather the animals. For us in the northern hemisphere, it is the fullness of the fall months, the changing of the leaves, the weather turning cooler, and the preparation of winter. So the gathering and storing of food for the cold months ahead for animals that remain, and the gathering of flocks for those that leave for warmer climates. The sages say that the month of Sheshvan lacks holidays because it has been reserved for the Mashiach, who will inaugurate the third temple, which is a symbol of the regrouping of the Hebrew peoples with their temple, their land, and their God. A gathering, just as the flocks of birds gather here to make the migration to warmer climate for the winter. Kabbalah teaches that the month of Sheshvan is a time to take inspiration from what we've learned in the previous month and integrate it into our lives, learning how to balance the spiritual with the physical, just as Uranus in Taurus helps us to find a balance in home and job. Coincidentally, the Hebrew letter for the month of Sheshvan is the letter Nun, which is considered to be the letter of the Mashiach. Chabad.org states, quote, "The letter Nun is considered to be the letter of Mashiach, as is said with reference to Mashiach. Before the sun, his name is Yinon, from Nun, Psalms 72 and 17. As a verb root, Nun means to reign. As a noun, it means the heir to the throne. Sheshvan, the 8th month, is the month of Mashiach because 8 signifies the eternal revelation of the supernatural, the commensurate state of rectified nature, being the secret of the number 7. Whereas in our present reality, the harp, played by King David and used in the temple, has 7 strings. The harp of Mashiach possesses 8. Just as 8 transcends 7, so does 50, the numerical value of Nun, transcend 49, is equal to 7 squared." End quote. While the letter Nun represents the month of Sheshvan, the letter Dalet represents the ruling planet, which is Mars. Together they spell Dan, the root of which is Din, or judgment, which Kabbalah.org says teaches us about the essence of the month, using good judgment. The letter Nun is also considered to indicate downfall and renewability, which is what the spirit of Mashiach is all about. Hard to imagine that a people would need a reminder of redemption so close after the High Holy Days, but then I'm reminded that according to tradition, the people fell back into old habits right after witnessing the miracles that brought them out of their bondage, which reminds me that every time we try to get into good habits, we can very easily fall back into bad ones. I recently gave up a lot of carbs and processed foods in my life and still struggle now and then with my body craving sugar cereal at bedtime. Habits not only have an effect on us mentally, but also chemically, because our cells have memory. We often think that we've put something aside or gotten rid of it, a habit or a trait about yourself that you're not fond of. But now and then it rears its ugly head again because we haven't really properly dealt with its root cause. For example, why does my body only seem to like food that's bad for me? The letter Nun takes us to the 24th path on the Kabbalistic tree of life, which connects the spheral of Tiferet, which is the number 6 and beauty, with Netzchach, the number 7 and victory, and the death card in the Toth Tarot, which is the card of regeneration, the path and card of endings and new beginnings, just as the new moon is the time for endings and new beginnings. To quote from Garrett Knight's Practical Guide to Kabbalistic Symbolism, he states, "Whenever there is change, there is death to the former condition and birth to the new condition. And this is shown in the other title of the tarot trump, Child of the Great Transformers. The Cosmic Doctrine lists 7 types of death. The first death is abstractly stated, the interlinking of 2 forces so that a vortex is set up, the 2 forces ceasing to exist as independent movement, but becoming a center of stability manifesting on a lower plane. This principle may apply at any level of the tree, for it is a prime principle of manifestation and holds good from the spiritual heights of the creation of a divine spark to the structure of the minutest physical atom. The 2 movements can be said to die to give birth to a unit on a lower plane. Similarly, when this form eventually breaks up or dies, it releases the 2 forces on a higher plane, which thus are born again. So birth and death are terms for the one and same transformation process, but are viewed as a beginning or ending according to the plane of observation." End quote. So the 24th path is in essence the death of the personality, wherein lies those so-called bad habits. All paths that lead to Tiferet are paths of sacrifice, giving up of something to lead to something better. The Sephira of Tiferet balances constriction and expansion, feminine and masculine, above with below. It is balance. Tiferet reaches that God's presence is felt more profoundly when you balance giving with receiving. The Sephira of Nasak generates the mechanism of repetition and reproduction. For the Sephira of Tiferet, the divine Hebrew name is Yehovah Aloha Vada'at. For the Sephira of Netzach, the divine Hebrew name is Yehovah Sabaoth. The 24th path is known as imaginative intelligence because it gives a likeness to all the similitudes which are created in like manner similar to its harmonious elegances. The Hebrew letter for the path is Nun, which means fish. The corresponding astrological sign is Scorpio. The planet again is Mars. Living creatures include the scorpion, the wolf, the turtle, or lobster or crayfish. And we have invited the wolf, to our circle. Mythological correspondences are Mara, goddess of the mystic sea, Hecate, Greek goddess of the overworld and underworld, and Athena, goddess of war and home. And we have invited Athena. To our circle. Areas that the 24th path can help you include feeling that you're a part of everything and that everything is a part of you, increasing sensitivity of the psychic senses that correspond to the physical 5 senses, resurrection, knowledge of the power within you, accepting your feminine side, letting go of physicality, astral travel, assimilating grief, and insight into solving your own inner conflict. For a full list of the correspondences, you can check the blog. Lon Milo DeQuette, in Understanding Aleister Crowley's Tarot, writes of the Death card, quote, "The universe is change. Every change is the effect of an act of love. All acts of love contain pure joy. Die daily." The Hebrew letter assigned to death is Nun, which means fish. The fish is one of the most revered symbols of tenacious life and resurrection in the traditions of Western civilization. Dead fish decay quickly and smell terrible, but the secret of life is in that stinky stuff, end quote. Chick Cicero writes of the 24th path, quote, "The Hebrew word dimyoni, which is imaginative, is closely related to the word dimyon, which means semblance or likeness. This passage indicates that by uniting opposites, a greater wholeness is achieved. A fresh synthesis arises that creates new versions of itself, all of which have a similarity or semblance to the harmonious elegancies of the divine life force. For the outward form always follows the hidden law. Thus, from chaos is produced harmony, just as a beautiful flower is produced from decaying matter. The imaginative intelligence constantly creates new images that we may use to aid us in our spiritual quest, just as humanity itself was created in the image of the divine. The 24th path leads from Nasach, the seat of the imaginative consciousness, to Tiferet, the seat of the sun. It is therefore the path of hidden energies that, when aroused, lead to increasing levels of illumination. Here the student begins to forego the desires of Nasach for the more universal love of Tiferet. The wants of the lower personality are forfeited for higher spiritual needs as the student's perceptions of reality and the purposes of life are constantly changing on this path. Outmoded ideas of the self evaporate as new self-images in similitudes form to replace them. The task of the student on this path is to let go of the old and yield to that which is unfamiliar, trusting in the love of the divine. The path symbol is a scarab. I will place the links for the meditations for the 24th path on the reference section of this recording, as well as on the blog. And I will now close out our ritual, and you may do the guided meditation at your leisure. So this marks the end of our ritual. I thank you for your participation. Even though you weren't here with me physically, I know in spirit all who need this will hear it by faith. So to the guardians of North, Earth, West, Water, South, Fire, East, and Air, we thank you for joining in our celebration and trust in you to carry forth our wishes and intentions to begin the process of manifestation according to our will and the love that binds us all. Go if you will, stay if you must. May there be peace between us now and forever to all beings in all directions. In love and trust, the circle is now open but always unbroken. Blessed be, and good night.